Sup friends? I hope you are doing well tonight. I personally have been feeling incredibly hopeless lately. I know a lot of people who've been feeling hopeless lately, and for me personally, something that has helped me so much in getting through feeling all of the things I've been feeling is reading manga. It has helped me both distract myself from certain things going on and also has really uplifted me in a way that I didn't think I would be able to be uplifted right now. So, again, since I know a lot of people who are feeling the same way as me right now, I have a feeling there could be a lot of you out there who aren't doing too hot either, for whatever reason it may be. So, I thought it would be nice for us all to maybe share some of my favorite manga quotes with you, specifically ones that I hope will give you hope in whatever it is you're going through. So let's get started, shall we? Oh, and I'll give like a very brief summary of just what each manga I bring up is about. I'm going to try not to give a lot of context to what's going on in the stories and just let the quotes sort of speak for themselves unless context is needed. I don't think there should be any spoilers, any major spoilers, but just a little warning just in case you are reading any of these. The only one I can think that there might be something that gives away some of the story would be Fire Force, which I'm saving for the end. So, but yeah, just want to put that out there. I think it should be very minor if there are any spoilers. So, you can check in the description if there are any of these that you would like to skip over. And the first manga we are going to start with is Blue Lock. I never ever in 1,000 years would have thought I would fall so much in love with a sports anime, but here we are. I absolutely adore Blue Lock. It is what I have particularly been reading right now. And as you can see, I have a crap ton of little post-its all throughout there. I seriously am considering making a video that's called like Blue Lock manga are the only self-help books you'll ever need, because there's just that much good stuff in these. And I hope you'll enjoy the quotes in here too. And we're going to start with the scene that really made me fall in love with Blue Lock. And I even have my little Bachira plushie I got on my last Japan trip because the scene involves Bachira, and this also is just like a little like token of hope for me and something to remind me, you know, just don't give up, whatever, you know. Here, you can actually hold on to him while we go through our Blue Lock quotes. If you're not familiar with Blue Lock, it's about all of these high school soccer players that are taken into this organization that basically wants to reinvent Japanese soccer, because I guess Japan has never won a World Cup, and so it wants to create a team that is capable of doing that and create the world's greatest striker. And it's very, very intense and so good, on top of just having all the good advice. This is, one of my favorite manga moments now. Let's see here. The monster inside me is saying, when things look dire, don't get scared. Get excited. If we lose and everything ends here, we'll never get to experience a match this intense again. If this is going to be the last game in my soccer career, then feeling hopeless can wait until after we lose. And I love that so much because when you feel hopeless, or like he says in here, like, you know, when you feel despair, some people might try and force positivity onto you or sugarcoat things. And the thing I like about this is that it doesn't do any of that. It acknowledges that things are bad. You know, it acknowledges that you're up against something that you very likely may lose to, but that shouldn't stop you from making the most of the time you have, and not necessarily having a good time, but having as good a time as you can. It's just so, you know, realistic about situations, but also hopeful. And I adore the character Bachra for that kind of attitude he brings to everything. I just love him. And in fact, I kind of want to read it again, if that's okay. Because I just love it. It's the monster inside me is saying, when things look dire, don't get scared. Get excited. If we lose and everything ends here, we'll never get to experience a match this intense again. If this is going to be the last game in my soccer career, then feeling hopeless can wait until after we lose. That is like all I need. But something you'll see in Blue Lock is there is a lot of that mentioning of like despair and that feeling, and how you can use that to strengthen yourself and to actually create something great and become better. I think that's one of the reasons why Blue Lock especially is so meaningful to me right now, when I feel like I am in the state of existential despair like 24/7. So yeah, I love that. And this is another great moment here. The thought of your dream ending is really terrifying, huh? That's it. I'm shaking because I'm scared. It's okay, Igaguri. You're right. We're fighting because we're scared, and since we're scared, we can get stronger. It's not fun feeling scared all the time, but try and use it to my advantage. You know, hopefully people can use feeling scared and feeling pressure and anxious to their advantage in some way, to become better themselves or create something extraordinary, whatever it may be. I can't give it any examples without getting into some specifics right now, but I've seen a lot of people who are despairing right now create really wonderful, humorous, intelligent art. And that may not ultimately change things in the grand scheme, but it's making something beautiful, something great out of a terrible situation a person might be in. And I think that goes a long way, personally. And that is Volume 4 of Blue Lock. On to the next one, Volume 8. So start down here and then go to the next page. No matter how much you try to appeal to someone else, you can never change other people. That's why my only choice is to change myself. There's no other way for me to change a world that doesn't go my way. If there's no light to guide me to a goal, I just have to become that light myself. I'll take the darkness you created on this field, then devour it and change it into light. That's another quote that I just love so much for its bluntness and how realistic it is, and that you can't change other people. There are a lot of obstacles that you face that in an ideal world would be the things that would change, that would get knocked down or whatever. But a lot of times negative forces, negative aspects of life are unfortunately the things that stick. So you have to adapt to it and you have to be the one to compromise. But it's another one of those things that makes you stronger. I just think it's one of those realities of life that a lot of people don't like to face. They need to have someone spell out for them, but it does so in a very hopeful and motivating way. I hope so. It does for me. It makes me, sort of look at negative situations differently. Hopefully, it makes you feel that way too. I got another quote in here. Humans who fight even harder in the face of their despair hold the power to make their dreams reality. Again, just mentioning of despair. They mention despair so much throughout Blue Lock, and how really it's a tool that you can utilize to make yourself better. And in the words of Ego, this character here, make your dreams come true. And despair is something that is actually a good thing. Sometimes you need to be completely broken down in order to recognize how you need to change or how you can overcome something. And I think just the despair in general, it is just, the sort of the driving force to take action, whatever that may be, in bad times. And that's definitely, a reason why Blue Lock has just touched me so much. Again, I feel a lot of despair lately, and it's nice to look at it as sort of a good thing, as opposed to just something to, add to my anxieties on a daily basis. And here we have another Blue Lock. This one is volume 9. This is very much the same sentiment as that last quote. I'll start right here, these 2 panels. I'm not the kind of chicken who still can't change even after getting hurt. I'm strong enough to die once and to drag myself back up. So good. It's funny because that character is kind of an asshole for a lot of this series. That quote is just like, even the protagonist, after this guy says it, he's like, what the heck, he is kind of cool. And that's like that's exactly the thought I had. It's like, this jerk, why is he saying things that are making me feel good and making me kind of like him? And then we have one more volume of Blue Lock right here. Volume 11. Alright, so we'll do both these pages here. Rin is the only one who seriously tried to beat the World All-Stars right to the end. I mean, even I planned on winning at first, but after being so overwhelmed, I realized that all I could do was treat it like a teaching game. I was happy just to be able to play the people I admire so much. All I could do was accept our situation. So the fact that you're able to feel so frustrated by this, you really are something, Rin. To me, those all-stars are still men I look up to, but to you, they were peers you had to defeat. It's people like you who end up making it to the top. Which means the day I finally beat you will be the day I'm ready to take on the world. I really like that one because I find myself often facing people who definitely look at life as sort of like all aspects of life. There are hierarchies, whether it be friendship, business. You look at like how there are influencers now, like everything, and I really hate the idea of anybody being more important than anyone else. Like, I don't care what your role at work is. I don't care how famous you are. I don't care how much money you have. I think that's something that can easily make you despair, is feeling like you're worthless and, all these people they're not my peers. They're so much higher than me, so much more important. It's all just bullcrap. When I go into any situation, any challenge, and frankly, it's kind of gotten me in trouble sometimes, but I always look at people as my equal, and it's like, you only deserve as much respect as you give me, sort of thing. So again, don't let it get you in trouble. Like it does sometimes get me in trouble, but I think at least if you in your mind keep that mindset, it can go a long way in helping you in situations that seem hopeless, when people try and put themselves above you. Yeah. And that's Blue Lock. Next up, we have two books. They're both by the same author. One is My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness by Nagata Kabi. I'm pretty good at pronouncing Japanese names and words, but apologies if I didn't pronounce that correctly. You do not need to be a lesbian to enjoy this and to get something out of it. I'm not, and I certainly did. Something about this artist, is that she does a very good job of getting it to the core of a lot of things that people, just everyone, I think, struggles with, and making her personal experiences very relatable for a lot of other people. Winner of the Harvey Award for Best Manga. I don't know what the Harvey Award is, but I know that this has gotten like a lot of praise, like critical praise, in addition to just being really good. I think to, like the average Joe, the average manga reader. So I'll stop yapping. It's very good. I highly recommend it. Let me find my quotes. I'm gonna read this little panel right here. There was one other impression I took home from those interviews. I had thought that adults never had fun. I had thought everyone was suffering. But even though the people who interviewed me all had tough jobs, they had enough energy to smile. They seemed like they were enjoying themselves. I wanted to be that kind of shining adult. But would I get there if I was always worrying about what my parents thought? I don't want to make light spite of the fact that the economy and job hunting, job keeping environment is absolutely dog shit right now, with this quote. But I really like it because I do think a lot of us feel like things are just always suffering, not just in terms of careers and stuff, but in terms of adult life in general. But I like, trying to remember that things are really tough, but that doesn't mean there's still no goodness. Whether it is finding some goodness in your job or somewhere else in life. And I have some other quotes that kind of touch on this, but, any suffering we personally are feeling is completely valid, but there are often people suffering more in some way, and a lot of them do find happiness, even in little things. And that's not to say that we shouldn't have to feel the bad things we're feeling, but I think it's just a reminder that if others who are suffering more than us can find some happiness, surely we can too, even in just something little. And I think it's not going to solve all of our suffering, but I think it helps a lot in making things bearable, at least. And I think that's all for that one. This is another manga by this author, Nagata Kabi, called My Alcoholic Escape from Reality. I actually read this one before I read my lesbian experience with loneliness. I think I like this one more. This one I think was funnier too. She was very, realistic, dark, like this is life sort of sense of humor that I like a lot. This one, it's a quote, I think she says in here somewhere. It was a quote of someone like reviewing one of her other books. But this quote here is, I know only too well that not dying is a difficult thing, but when I think about how tomorrow will come and drop an unexpected bit of hope into your lap, I want you not to die. And that is one of the things that keeps me going personally, are those little bits of hope, those little spices of life, positive spices, because there may be bad ones too, but just those little good things. Like just the other day, the trailer for the Lies of P DLC came out, and man, do I want to be around and in a decent position to play that, because I adore Lies of P, and that's something for me to look forward to, as silly and shallow as it seems. Like, you gotta take what you can get these days. And just those little things, like every week I look forward to going to my local farmer's market and stuff. And, it doesn't have to be a surprise, a bit of hope or happiness or whatever. It can be things you know about. And I think that focusing on those, not totally, but, while we're focusing and dealing with all of our crap, the crap around us in the world, that's the kind of stuff that can help keep us energized and happy and wanting to keep staying strong for ourselves and for those around us, and not just giving up and letting bad things take over everything. Alright, next up. This series right here, A Man and His Cat by Umi Sakurai. there are quite a few volumes of this. I've only read up to volume 3, which this is. But in just these 3 volumes, let me just say, if you want a hearty, rich, happy cry that's just so fulfilling and heartwarming, this is the series for you. It's pretty self-explanatory. A man and his cat. This man adopts Fukumaru. This is the cat's name. Who had been sitting in a pet shop forever and ever, considered like a really ugly cat. No one wanted him. And this man came and adopted him. Or bought him, I guess. Since it's a pet shop, not a rescue. Whatever. And it's about how they enrich each other's lives. And how they love each other and make each other happier. And it is so, so good. Again, heartwarming and wholesome, does not do it justice. But this scene that I want to share, it's Fukumaru, the cat, him sort of thinking back to like when he was born and like his brothers and sisters in the kitten litter, in his time with his mama cat, like before he was taken to the pet shop. So these first couple pages I'm gonna read are basically his mom, the mom cat, sort of like her speaking to him. And then the next page, it's gonna be sort of him speaking back. If that makes sense, I hope it does. So, you are my beloved little one, my sweet, sweet baby. No matter how far apart we are or how tough things get, never forget that. You'll always be dear to me. No matter what anyone says, you are precious. You're all my darling babies. I love you. And now, moving on to Fukumaru over here with his new daddy, his new owner. Start here. Mom, you know what? I'm happy now. I'm really, really happy. Even I, the slowest and the dumbest, found happiness. So don't worry, Mom. I'm sure they're all fine. I bet they're much, much happier than even I am. Talking about all of his kitten brothers and sisters. I can't read that bit without like welling up with borderline sappy tears. I think it's so important to remember that even though our loved ones may not be with us, their love, that doesn't mean their love doesn't disappear, and that even though we feel, again, hopeless, feel unlovable, feel weird, what are the terms he uses? The slowest, the dumbest, like, we feel inferior in so many ways. We can find love. We can find people who want to be around us, and we can find happiness. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with it myself. And of course, this is made even more, heartwarming because it involves cute little kitty cats. But I think it's, so important for people to remember that about ourselves too. And, maybe while we're looking for others who will embrace us and become our friends, become our found family, whatever, to not forget love that we have from those who aren't necessarily in our lives right now. So yeah, thank you for letting me get a bit sappy right now. I hope that you remember that in hopeless times, love and good people around you is so important, and that you just aren't alone. Yeah. I'm gonna move on, because I don't do good with the sappy stuff. Or I don't want to feel like I'm preaching to you, at least. Alright, so we went from our heartwarming sappiness to good old Chainsaw Man. I love Chainsaw Man. If we look right in here, this little panel right here. Man, losers are loud. So simple, but so poignant. And the reason I love that is because, well, of course there are, it's not 100% of the time. I have found throughout my life, more often than not, the people who are the loudest and demand attention and use their attention to make others feel hopeless or bad or negative are often at their core losers. And the reason they are so loud about it is because no one would listen to them otherwise. And I don't just mean loud as in like yelling, that is the case, but also just loud as in, like when you look at online, like trolls who demand attention, or people who make content that is controversial just for the sake of being controversial, stuff like that. It just rings so hollow when you just take a step back and really look at it. And often the people spewing such things are losers. Keep it at that. Again, that's why they gotta be loud about it. I think the people who do demand attention, who are good, don't make others feel hopeless or bad. They make you feel naturally, in a good way, energized and feel better about yourself and others in the world around you. So yeah, I love that. Oh, losers are loud. Denji has some fantastic one-liners that are just so simple like that, but so just like a punch of reality, and so relatable too. And that's why I go back and forth on it, but I think Denji might be my favorite anime and manga protagonist. Yeah, so just remember that. It's something I don't think a lot of people think about, but if there's a person in particular that is, you feel like is spreading a lot of the hopelessness and negativity, yeah, just think about that. It helps me a lot, personally. And it makes people who seem like they are very powerful, makes them really sort of like breaks them down. Even if you're like the only one who realizes it, it's good to recognize that confidence, that, intelligence, that whatever charisma that they are perceived to have is not quite all it's chalked up to be. Yeah. On to the next one. This is Tokyo Revengers. Another manga that I feel like I could make, a whole video just talking about so many different aspects of it. Maybe minor spoilers in here, I'm not sure if it could be taken as a spoiler or not, so just a little warning there for two quotes. Not necessarily this first one, but maybe the second one. This one, starting up here, we have what's really important isn't whether you can win fights, it's not losing against yourself. That one I do feel like comes across a bit borderline preachy and like textbook self-help kind of vibes. But I think it's really important, especially since a lot of times in life it at least feels like we do a lot more losing than winning. It's felt that way to me a lot of times. And I think the important thing is, as corny as it is, is just not to give up, or not to give up on yourself. Going back to Blue Lock too, it's being able to take those beatings, well, that's a bit violent, being able to take those defeats and those setbacks and take them with as much grace as we can muster, and making ourselves stronger because of them, and just not throwing in the towel, whatever that may be for us personally. It's freaking hard a lot of the time, but that's what really counts in the end, is not giving up to ourselves, not letting our own hopelessness, using that word a lot, hopelessness and whatnot, defeat us and stop us from doing cool shit in our lives. And this next quote, again, I think maybe a little bit of a spoiler depending on how much of the anime or you've watched or the manga you've read. Right here, this page. We're through Kiseki. Your arbitrary decisions will screw up my dream. Basically, just recognize people's bullshit and don't let it screw up your life. Because there are a lot of people who put a lot of bullshit in our lives that we do not need. And it's important to recognize that and call it out and get rid of it. So, again, you can do cool shit. And they're not going to be dragging you back and stopping you. Alright, now, the last series, several quotes from here. I've got several volumes. This is probably my favorite manga ever. And granted, I haven't read that many manga compared to what most people who say that they're manga and anime fans say that they've read. And I started out as a fan of the anime, and frankly, I only moved to reading the manga because I could not wait for more seasons to come out, and thank God we're finally getting another season of Fire Force. But yeah, I could not wait for that. I could go on and on about why I absolutely love Fire Force. One of the things that I particularly love is that it's sort of a contrast to Blue Lock. Blue Lock uses the idea of despair and needing to face despair in order to do great things and to overcome challenges, and sort of use the feeling of despair to energize yourself. This series focuses, and again, this is the one where I think there could be major spoilers, so beware. Especially since some of these volumes are some of the last volumes in the series. But this series focuses so much on the idea of hope and just never losing hope. And even if you're not the strongest, even, if you're up against what seems to be undefeatable adversaries, in this case, literally gods, as long as you have hope, you have not lost. And I think that's so important. especially right now with a lot of things happening in the world, or just things happening in your personal life. It's just never ever give up hope. That, you know, once you've given up hope, that's when you've lost. That's when whatever bad things you're up against has won. As long as you have hope, you have a chance. And so, yeah, it's so good on so many different levels. But that's why it is particularly relevant to this video. So, we are going to start off with volume 20. This quote here. I'm going to do these two panels and skip down here, just in case you're following. When you are a fire soldier, your mission is to protect people's lives and property, but the life you must value most is your own. When your life is lost, you lose whatever ability you would have had to save others. We're not superheroes, we're human, just like the victims. I like that one because there's this idea that if you're like not suffering, you're not doing a good job, especially in the workplace, which is so stupid. Or you see it a lot with people who, I guess parents in general, but particularly with mothers, that if you're not truly sacrificing and suffering in some way, like, are you even a good mother? Are you doing everything you can for your child and your family? And I think that, you know, there are cases where we have to give up some of ourselves, or, you know, and this isn't to take away from people who are in situations who do need to give up their lives for something. Hopefully, most of us are never in that kind of situation. But I think I have said multiple times on my channel how important I think self-care and self-love is, and it's important to value ourselves and think about the more we take care of ourselves, the more good we can do. And taking care of yourself, especially when you are in a really bad negative place and there are bad things happening around you, it can be so hard. I often feel like I shouldn't even be doing that. I shouldn't be doing anything that like makes me happy when people are suffering way more than me. But I don't think it needs to be a bad thing to watch out for yourself and, you know, just make sure you're safe and healthy and happy. Again, so you can do more good for those around you. The whole, you know, you can't give from an empty cup sort of thing. Make sure your cup is overflowing so you have enough for both yourself and to give to others, I think is so important. And they emphasize that multiple times throughout the series, actually, how they're, you know, saving people's lives, but if you give up your life to save one person, there could be thousands of people that you can't save because you're not around anymore, because you gave up your life. And again, I don't want to discount anyone who has done something as heroic as giving their life to help others. But I think it's a good thing to keep in mind, you know, whether we are in such a dire situation or something much more everyday. Dire situations feel a lot more everyday these days, I gotta say. Yeah, just good to keep in mind. Don't ever just throw yourself away. And then the next one, I'm going to look at volume 31. on this page right here, and then we'll do the next 2 pages. This man, Arthur Boyle. He saw fantasies, dreams, things that could never be, creatures that could not exist, events that could never happen, the picture-perfect world of his dreams and fantasies. All who see him call him a fool. But he knew how to enjoy it. He enjoyed life. The fear of spontaneous human combustion, the tragedy of being abandoned by his parents, with delusions that rendered him incapable of feeling down, he enjoyed it all. Is he truly, literally a fool? Or is he perhaps merely winning at life? And this quote, I think, can be, we can get into topics of mental health and being delusional about things, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I feel like there's an especially high amount of nuance with this quote there. I also think it's again one of those quotes talking about how there are people who are suffering very greatly who can find happiness. I think it's not healthy at all to have delusions that might make you stray away from realities and things that are going on, but finding ways to win at life, even if you are not set up to win as what others might perceive as winning. I think that too, especially with social media, it's cliche to say, but it's like what is considered winning at life is dictated in such a terrible way. I saw someone post on a subreddit something about how, back in the day, before social media and all that, but it's like having a good crop of plants, having a great garden, that was winning at life for a lot of people, just those little everyday things. And that's not to say that we shouldn't aspire to grander things, but I think that we can face a lot of negative things and still find ways to maybe not quote-unquote win at life, but at least enjoy life. And I'll say it again, I don't want to negate any suffering anyone's feeling, because I know it is bad for a lot of people, but again, just a good way to look at things with hopefully not, disregarding whatever anyone's going through. It's nice to find some positivity, because I think it's because there are a lot of people who are very, very blessed and privileged and in a very good spot, and they don't appreciate it. I think that's how I'm more looking at it. People who have a lot more than they realize and somehow find a way to not win at life when they are set up for success to do so. So hopefully that puts that into perspective of where I'm coming from with that quote. Alright, so now we have one more quote, I think. Let me see here. Yes. One more quote. This is volume 33 of Fire Force. And the quote: this page right here. No matter how bleak things get, I won't give up hope. Even if the answer chosen by humankind's collective unconscious is despair, I won't give up. No matter what kind of tragedy fate has in store, I'm a hero and I'll twist it all around. Shinra Kusakabe. the main protagonist of Fire Force is the contender with Denji from Chainsaw Man for my favorite anime slash manga protagonist, and it's because of just that unrelenting hope he has no matter what he's facing. Is just really refreshing and inspiring. And I think this is like the perfect quote to end this video on. In fact, I want to read it again. No matter how bleak things get, I won't give up hope. Even if the answer chosen by humankind's collective unconscious is despair, I won't give up. No matter what kind of tragedy fate has in store, I'm a hero and I'll twist it all around. And yeah, I think without giving too much away, again, I gave a spoiler warning, but without giving too much away for the ending of Fire Force, that is essentially how the antagonizing force is overcome. Is just Shinra's unwillingness to give up hope. He's told repeatedly that no, this is what's happening, you know, this is like what the fates have in store. This is something that can't be changed. Despair is, you know, overcome everybody. The world's going to get destroyed, basically. And he's like, no, nope. I refuse to let that happen. And I, you know, have too much hope, too much positivity. Like, it sounds so cheesy and corny, but it's like so, like, again, just so refreshing to see, just something so hopeful and happy and positive. Like when you're like a protagonist truly being up against an undefeatable force and being able to defeat it by saying hope is more powerful than despair, than just the despair you're spreading. And I will rewrite everything, you know. I will essentially like recreate the world, recreate everything. Even if everything has to get destroyed, I will make it whole again with my hope. I think it's wonderful, and I, as much as I can, try to have that kind of unrelenting hope, as hard as it is. And again, I hope that, I wonder how many times I've said the word hope in this video. I hope that no matter what you may be going through, whether it is something on a quite grand scale or if it's something personal or both, if you've stayed with me this long through this video, I hope you found something that has maybe helped you a little bit, or maybe even just piqued your interest in these mangas, because they are all fantastic. I would love to know if you have a manga that, you know, you lean on for things like this, you know, when you need some encouragement, or if you have a favorite manga moment that helps inspire you, or, you know, just give you a little pep in your step when things aren't feeling well. I'd love for you to share it with me. And I hope that you have a lovely night. Thank you for joining me. And I will see you soon.